So hey guys, welcome to another movie review. For today's review, I'm also talking about a film from the 90s again. In a review I just posted recently, I reviewed the movie Swingers, another film from the 90s that I just never got around to seeing until just around recently here. Um, the film I'm going to review for you today is a film called Walking and Talking. And I really didn't even know a lot about this movie until I saw the CNN special called The Movies, where they were kind of covering kind of subgenres to genres that have been around for a while. And then one thing that they covered in this in particular movie when they covered it on the special called Walking and Talking, um, that the director Nicole Holofcener basically kind of created her own little genre in comedy called the embarrassment comedy, really. And so this movie very much supports that idea. Another reason why I wanted to see this movie in particular is because back in 2013 there was a movie released called Enough Said, and that was also made by the same director. And I just really like her movies. I really like how kind of how honest they feel and how they feel like real people. Um, Definitely very much in the spirit of a quote unquote embarrassment comedy. There's just a lot of things about her movies that just feel really real, and you get kind of really brutally honest depictions of how people feel on certain things, whether it's relationships or people getting old and then not really having a filter anymore, or whether it's someone who's not hasn't been dating for a while, and so by the time they do start dating again, it really feels like they really kind of don't know where to start and how they kind of restart that part of their life again and stuff like that. So her movies are kind of about these kind of things. And Walking and Talking, a film she worked on in the 90s, very much is in the spirit of that kind of thing. So in this movie, you guys, basically right away we find out there's two friends that have grew up with each other. They were very young when they started becoming friends, and they've been kind of single for a while. They've just been kind of dating guys and just kind of figuring out who they want to be in a relationship with and stuff. And so this has been going on for a while. I would say they're kind of in their early middle age category by the time the film really starts to pick up. So they're probably in like their mid 30s at some point in the early part of the movie. And one of the friends announces her engagement to this guy that the friend played by Catherine Keener knows is not going to work out in the long term. She just knows right off the bat there's just too many differences between her and this guy, that them being married, them living in like a house and an apartment together is just not going to work out. There's just too many differences between the two of them. And so the movie really plays off of that. Another thing this movie really is about too is now that Catherine Keener's character knows about the engagement, she's kind of on her own with dating. She's seeing this guy from this video store that this old like video rental store, kind of in the spirit of Blockbuster Video. And there's just a lot of things about this guy that she's just really not sure about, that she has her reservations on. And when she does see other people and chooses not to see other people, there's kind of, benefits and consequences of that. And there's a whole thing happening with her and the video rental store guy. And there's something that he heard one of the friends say about him that kind of makes him unsure about dating the Catherine Keener character and things like that. So throughout the course of this film, Catherine Keener's character has to really kind of make her friend know that marrying this one guy that she kind of has her eyes on is really not a very good idea, while also kind of keeping her relationships intact, kind of figuring out what she wants in a man, and even if she wants to get married and things like that, and if she just wants to be dating people, what exactly is she looking for? And so that's kind of what the film focuses on. But overall, guys, I really enjoyed Walking and Talking. Um, I will say right off the bat, Enough Said in 2013, I think is the way better movie. I think Nicole Holofcener really kind of knocked it out of the park in that movie. I think even back in my review, I even said of that one that I had like very little flaws with it. It's almost a near perfect movie. I would think I would go that far to say with that movie. Um, so I went to this film kind of with a lot of expectations. I knew kind of how talented this woman was, and kind of what her directing style is and what her films tend to be about and things like that. So I really enjoyed Walking and Talking. There's things about it that I really like that I'm going to get into here, my positives and negatives, but there's some things about it too that I think could have been better overall. But overall, for my positives and negatives of this film, I once again, she's very good about making her films feel like they're about real people. I don't feel like I'm watching movie characters. I really feel like I'm watching something happening to somebody's life out in the world somewhere. These really do feel like real people with real problems, with real kind of expectations on certain things. So I like how this woman's movies really felt like they're about real people. I really like that part of this movie. Is I felt like I was watching real people with real problems that I could kind of relate to. Another positive with this film is the character dialogue is very smooth. Whenever there's character interaction or long conversations or long monologues from a character, it's nice and smooth. Nothing really feels really kind of like it doesn't belong anywhere. It does feel nice and smooth. It feels natural. It feels like something that somebody you would go out and meet in the world would actually say to you and things like that. So the character dialogue is very smooth here, and that's probably due to the fact that this film probably has a really good screenplay. Another good positive of this movie is I like how, once again, this film focuses on people with problems. I hate when a movie kind of treats things like people are perfect and that they don't have any issues and that they just kind of have this perfect job and perfect life and perfect friends and no issues. That's a film that's not going to really connect with a lot of people. So I like how Walking and Talking is a film that kind of pulls that curtain back and says, hey, you know what? People have problems. People do things in life that are not going to be nice and smooth for them. If they keep going down that path, they're going to run into problems. If they keep dating these people that have all these issues and they don't really want to move on and they just kind of want to stay there, they're going to run into a series of problems. So obviously, this film focuses on that. It focuses on people with problems, something that I think a lot of people are going to connect with in this movie. And once again, I like the honesty of the characters. I like how this isn't a film that holds anything back. It really does say certain things about how people honestly feel about like relationships or how they honestly feel about a job or how they honestly feel about taking that late train at night or taking a car down that street that's probably not very safe to go down and things like that. So I like how this film is nice and honest about certain things. I like to see a film that is honest, doesn't like to hold anything back, doesn't really sugarcoat anything. It's a nice, honest character depiction movie. But for my negatives of Walking and Talking, unfortunately, this film does suffer from a very abrupt ending. I won't say what it is for those who haven't seen the film. This is definitely a non-spoiler review. But the ending is very abrupt here. I would also even go so far as to say is I feel like the ending of this film kind of hurts the overall film's message from the scenes that happened before it. It's just a very uneven ending that really just kind of throws a lot of things out the window and just kind of be like, hey, let's just go through with this one thing anyway. Um, I thought the ending of this film just really wasn't very good, unfortunately. Another thing that this film suffers from is there's a lot of really slow moments here. It doesn't help that I tried to watch this film kind of late at night, but there's a lot of moments where I did feel kind of a little sleepy-eyed. I felt kind of uninvested in some of the things that were happening. So some of the moments here are a little slow. I think this film would have benefited from maybe a quicker screenplay. This film has a very short runtime as it is, but I feel like some of the scenes here either should have been trimmed down or maybe the director of this movie should have gone back and be like, we probably could have made these certain moments in these certain scenes a little more interesting. Something should have happened here. Some certain moments of this film do feel really slow, unfortunately. There's also some really uneven transitions in this movie. There's scenes that literally just kind of end out of nowhere. They go to black, and then they just immediately go into whatever the next scene is. And there's just a lot of that in this movie, and it just doesn't feel very smooth. And I don't like how the film doesn't feel as smooth as the dialogue or as the characters or as the problems that the characters face and have to solve throughout the movie. So I thought some of the transitions from scene to scene on certain moments of the film really do kind of feel uneven, and I wish maybe in the editing department they probably could have improved that in this movie. I also thought the opening of this film, unfortunately, was kind of a little too quick. Yeah, we get the point that these two friends have been close for a long time, ever since they were little, but that's really all the opening scene accomplishes, and they really don't dive into it very much. Really, just the opening is they're looking at this magazine thing, they're saying how they feel about it, and then they immediately cut into modern day where they're middle-aged and they're dating and things like that. So I thought the opening of this film could have been better. how you open a film and how you close your film is very important. And unfortunately, this film suffers from a bad opening and a bad closing. So, a good movie that unfortunately does something really, really bad, which is a bad opening and a bad closing, which I do not recommend in any movie. But overall, I'm going to give Walking and Talking an 8.5 out of 10. I think there's a lot of really good things about it. It's a film I would highly recommend seeing. I personally don't know if I would go back and rewatch it very much. I did stream it through HBO Max. It is available to stream on their streaming service right now. I highly recommend seeing it. I really enjoy it. I recommend it. But there is certain things about it, like the way it opens, the way it closes. Certain slow moments really kind of ruin the film, unfortunately. Some of the transitions from scene to scene really do feel a little uneven. So, a really good movie that does have a couple problems every once in a while that I would still highly recommend that you go see. So, I highly recommend Walking and Talking, 8.5 out of 10, but go into this film knowing that it's not a perfect film either.